Hello, everyone. So today we're going to be talking about the case of Brandon Mitchner. I have, I would say, a decent amount of information on this case, and I kind of want to say it's kind of open-ended, even though it's kind of been ruled one way, and you're going to understand when we get to the end. I'm not even quite sure what I believe, but I'm definitely interested in hearing what you guys believe. If you really want a very in-depth look at this case, so much information, go to Danielle Hallen. She did a video on this a while ago. She does great coverage over cases. I highly suggest her channel. She's the only person. No, there's also Sunny Shay. I believe that's her name. Is Sunny Shay or Sunny Shay V. I'm not quite sure. But they both have videos on them. Those are the only two people I've seen do videos on Brandon Mitchner. But they both did a really good job at his case, and probably better than what I'll do, but I'm gonna try my best. All the links that I used for research will be down below, like always, and let's go ahead and get into this. So, there was a motto that Brandon lived by, and it was MIYM, or make it your mission. And his mom kind of explains it as make it your mission to do the right thing, to make something out of your life, and make it your mission to be kind, which is something really good to just live by. This was also the moniker for his business that he was wanting to start. His dream was to sell his merchandise all over the world. And he was only 22 years old when he would pass, and he was already having such big plans for his life. Definitely such a dreamer, such a happy kid. You can tell by the photos. He just has, his soul was just pure sunshine. You can just tell. Unfortunately, he would never get to see his business take off because in 2014, after a night out with friends, his body would be pulled from the Grand River in Lansing, Michigan. So he was actually going out that night to celebrate a friend's birthday. His mom, her name is Shirley, she remembers that she told him to be very careful, and she's like, I was just preaching to him like I always do. And he cupped her face with his hands and said, Mom, I got this. You trained me right, end quote. Which, that is so sweet. He is just such a sweet boy. Um, and Shirley and her husband were actually leaving the next morning to travel to Florida because they're going to be celebrating their wedding anniversary. But late that night, she woke up and looked at her phone and wondered why Brandon hadn't called her yet. Because she said that he would usually check in, even if he had things going on, even if he was busy, he would just check in. That's just who he was. When they arrived at their resort, they actually got a call from their oldest daughter, and she said that he had not come home. So they're very worried, obviously, at this point. Police reports, they say that the party that he was going to was actually on a party bus, and that this bus was making several stops at local bars in downtown Lansing, and that Brandon was intoxicated, and that apparently he told his friends that he felt sick. He got off the bus, and his friend and business partner, which I could not find a name for, so I'm not sure if they're just unnamed, that friend actually followed him. So there's actually security footage, which I will show on the screen, that shows him ahead of his friend, and he's stumbling down the sidewalk. He's very intoxicated. And this is along South Street, and this takes place on June 29th. So it's believed that he meandered about 30 feet down the dead end. South Street was a dead end, and he stumbled off of a steep embankment where there was no guardrail, and that he plunged into the river where he would drown. And I found some photos that were on the Justice for Brandon Mitchner Facebook of I'm not sure if it's the exact place, I would assume so, of where it's believed he kind of meandered off, and you can just see just how steep it is. There's so many trees and stuff in the way to the water. Oh my god. Anybody who is sober would be in so much pain. It's crazy. So there was no guardrail to catch him. He plunged into the river, is what it was believed, and that he drowned. The friend told police that he lost sight of Brandon during the walk and assumed he found a way home. Okay. We're gonna talk about my thoughts in a little bit. I want to make it very clear that at this point, no 911 calls, by the way. No, my drunk friend randomly disappeared, let me look for him. Just want to make that very clear. So, once his loved ones realized that he never made it home, his friends and siblings searched the area that he was last seen, and they found his hat and one shoe, and that is when cops were called, and the cops actually called it divers in. And that is when theories start to swirl. Because he was pulled out of the river, um, some say that he was thrown in by people, and that they just wanted to see if he could swim, like a prank, I guess. Some people said that there was a fight and that he was pushed in, and some believe that it was just an accident, which I believe that's actually what this was rolled, was that it was rolled an accident. He just was too drunk, he stumbled off the embankment, unfortunately there was no guardrail, and he drowned. And truly, she says, even if it was an accident, it could have been avoided if his friends had stayed with him that night. And there was another friend, I cannot remember his name, a really, really good friend of Brandon, and he said that if Brandon had had the right friends with him, those friends would have stayed with him, they would have made sure he was okay, they would have looked for him instead of just assuming, and that Brandon could have been pulled out of the water or even saved. And I feel like that was kind of a dig at the friend and business partner that really didn't do much when this happened. Captain Christopher Baldwin says that the case was investigated numerous times and that it has been determined that his business partner and friend had been honest and open with him and showed no signs of lying or trying to hide information. And like the death was just kind of an accident. And that is what I have for Brandon Mitchner. Let's get into my thoughts, because I have thoughts. You know, at first, read over this case, I can see how this would be an accident. You are celebrating your friends' birthdays. They are all in their early 20s. They're probably drinking. Like, they're at the age where I can drink. I'm gonna drink. Okay, they're having fun. There's security footage of him stumbling around. Um, I don't disagree that he could have just made it to this dead end, slipped on the embankment or whatever, fell down it, and went into the river. That's, yeah, probably very plausible. I could see that happening. Um, it makes a decent amount of sense to me. But there's something also that just kind of sticks out to me, and it's the friend that followed him. So your friend says they're sick, they get off the bus, they're intoxicated. Even if I was intoxicated, and I've been fairly intoxicated before, I've never been so intoxicated that I didn't care about the people that were around me. When someone wasn't feeling well or they were having an issue, I always made sure to look after them as well. And this friend got off the bus. They were following Brandon, so were they following him to make sure he was okay? And if so, why did they stop when they suddenly lost sight of him? And I understand it was dark, late at night, but the thing is, it's a dead end street. So it's not like he could have just randomly gotten a car and was like, I found a way home, and just like, you just assumed that he found a way home. You would have seen him turn around, correct? You would have seen him get into a car. You would probably have also seen him slip and fall down the embankment. Would your thought not have been to go after Brandon? See where he fell? Did he not hear a splash? Like, you did not. The photos I'm going to show you, there are so many trees in the way. Like, they are, like, fairly thick trees. They would have snapped. They would have made snapping noises. Did you not hear your friend, I would assume, make some sort of noise? Maybe a slight yelp or something? You didn't hear the sound of a body falling down an embankment. You did not hear the sound of his body hitting these trees, the trees snapping. You didn't hear the splash of the body in the water or the trees going into the water. You heard nothing. You didn't think of that possibly being Brandon when you suddenly did not see Brandon anymore. And I can't imagine this person, your friend, just disappears and you don't tell anybody. You don't say, like, hey, lost sight of Brandon. You don't maybe call his parents. You don't maybe call the police. and just say, hey, my friend is really drunk, suddenly he's disappeared. Just as a precaution, you just don't look into it anymore. You just make this assumption. That is just really wild to me. And it feels like either this friend might have actually had a hand in it and is very good at lying and being deceitful, or maybe this friend just never actually cared about Brandon and didn't care enough to see if something did happen to him. Because it's just wild that you follow him. Why are you following him, first of all, if you're not to make sure he's good? Why are you following him at such a weird pace behind him as well? Like, if my friend is drunk and stumbling around, I'm I'm at their side. I'm holding them upright, even if I'm drunk too. Like, I'm doing my best to stay up with them. This friend is just kind of awkwardly walking behind him. It's kind of weird. Um, and it's just kind of weird. Like, you lose sight of your friend. Did you not call out to Brandon? Did you not like say his name several times? And if he didn't answer, did you not like go look for him? Like, there's just so many things that this friend could have done that they just obviously did not do. And I know, like, the cops are all like, yeah, we interviewed this friend. He doesn't seem to be lying. He seems to be honest and open with us. Um, how do you not think it's weird that he didn't do stuff to find Brandon? And you could be like, he could have been just very intoxicated, which, yes, I guess maybe he was so intoxicated to the point where he just, you know, was really in no place or no shape to help Brandon. I understand, but I just think it's kind of weird that you were keeping pace with Brandon and then suddenly you just don't know anything. I don't know. That feels really off to me. So I understand how this could be like seen as an accident, but there's also like a part of me that feels like there's more to this story. Um, I don't know. There's just something about it that just stands out to me as being very weird. Um, so what do you guys think about this? Like, do you kind of see where I'm coming from? Like, the friend maybe possibly could have done a little bit more. Like, honestly, any other friends could have done more. Like, I'm pretty sure only that one friend is the one that followed him. Why did nobody else try to stop him from getting off the bus? Why did nobody else go after him? Like, obviously, you're not very good friends if you didn't try to help him any further. I don't know. I would not let any of my friends just stumble drunk down a road. I just would not do that. So, do you think there could have been a fight like that one theory? Like, there was a fight, he got pushed in, which could have been the deal with him and the business partner. Maybe the business partner saw this as an opportunity. They got into a fight, or maybe he just pushed Brandon in and he suddenly just don't know what happened to him. Like, that's kind of what stands out to me, is that could have happened, and yeah, it also could have been an accident. It's just, there's most of these theories are just plausible. They're plausible, except for the one. I don't think anybody just threw him in as a prank. I really don't think that happened. I don't even know why that was a theory, if I'm being honest. But like the accident or the fight or really just anything else is plausible to me. Um, so what do you think? I just, my mind goes one way and then it goes another because I just don't know. What do you guys think down below? Please let me know your thoughts. Um, Please be respectful because sometimes family members do stumble across these videos and I don't want them to be met with disrespect. So please be kind when speaking about Brandon and his family and his friends and that business partner, because they haven't been charged with anything. They haven't been like a person of interest or anything. So don't be like to this person did it, I guess. Just be respectful in the comments, but let me know your thoughts down below. I'm always interested in hearing what you guys have to say. Thank you so much for listening to Brandon's story. If his family sees this, I am so, so sorry about Brandon. He seemed like such a sweet soul, and he would have done so much with his life, as I'm sure you know, because he was your loved one. And I hope I told his story, at least somewhat decent, like Danielle and Shay did. But that is going to be all for me today, guys. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you guys very soon. Bye, guys.